Hi everyone, it's Karen here and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming again to seeing another one of my videos. My tutorial today focuses on how to do a gel transfer to create a faux painting. I will go into step by step on how to create the gel transfer to create this 6 by 12 canvas that looks like a real painting. To do this, I downloaded a few images from a website called Storyblocks. Here's how you use the website. You go to storyblocks.com and you press on vectors. I specifically wanted vectors because I wanted to be able to resize my pictures on Photoshop. But you don't have to. You can also use them as illustrations or images. I typed in the word trees so I could search for all the trees available in vector form. And then I started scrolling down until I found the one I wanted. Storyblocks has also videos and stock photos and illustrations along with vectors. And there's so many different types to choose from that you can create basically any type of project, whether it's a card, an art journal, or even, as today, a painting. And finally, I found the tree that I wanted, and you can either download it right away or you can add it to a folder. In this case, I'm just showing you how to add it to a folder. So you just add to a folder, you name the folder what you want. In this case, I'm putting trees. And as you can see, the folder I already had a folder with that name, so I just called it trees number 2. And once you have the folder, then you can have all the images you want in that folder. Let's say you have a larger project and you're looking for a lot of images, then that's the best way to do that. Then you go to your profile and you find a folder, and in this case I'm going to go to my old file, the folder that has all these 4 trees in them, because I chose 4 trees for my project and I ended up scrolling down to find them. And then you download each and every one of them to your computer. I did it in EPS form because I wanted it in vector form to be able to resize them, but you can just do a JPEG or any other type of form that is there for you to do it. Once you have the images, then you can go into Photoshop and create your own printable images. So this is what I did. I put 2 images of 2 trees on each one of the Photoshop sheets, and then I printed it in regular printer paper on a laser printer. Really important to know that this was a laser printer for the technique that I'm doing today. To create the gel transfer, I cut the images of the trees as close as I could to the image to make sure that they all fit on my 6 by 12 canvas. Then I took some soft matte gel from Prima Finnabair and using my silicone brush added it to the front of the image. You have to make sure, as I said, that it's a laser printer and not an inkjet because it works better for the gel transfer. You only put the gel on top of the image and then you put the image upside down onto whatever surface you're doing. Then you take any type of card, and this is an iTunes card, but it could be any type of card that can push the gel and flatten the image underneath. You want to make sure that you don't get any gel on the back of the image, because if you do, it will be really hard to remove the paper from the gel transfer. So I kept a wipe beside me, and as I was cleaning and pushing the credit card on top of the tree, I was able to clean it with my wipe and not have any of the gel transfer into the back of the tree. Of course, you do get a mirror image of the actual image that you printed from the internet. So if you want to have a specific image going in a certain side, make sure that you printed the right way out of your printer, because you will have to invert it when you actually are putting it as a gel transfer. In this case, I didn't care because I had trees and I thought they would look nice any way they go, because trees doesn't really matter in which direction they're facing. But if it's something like a face or something that you want to make sure it faces a certain way, then make sure that you're printing it the opposite way on your computer. So I ended up sticking all of the trees onto the background, and I did let this gel dry for over 24 hours. You want to make sure it's really, really thoroughly dry. And you can use any type of gel medium. I like using matte medium just because I don't like the glossiness, but any type of gel medium will work for this. I prefer matte, but any of them will work. Now I want to tell you a little bit about Storyblocks and how it works. Storyblocks, which was formerly known as Graphic Stock, is a website where you can download videos and images to use in your artwork or in cards or in anything you want. They sponsored this video today and gave me access to all these amazing images that I could download myself. You can get stock images from Storyblocks, which are high quality photos, vectors, icons, and more. And you can download anything because they have up to 400,000 images in their member library. And you can save up to 60% of the marketplace content. They're actually giving away 7 free days so you can try it out and access a huge variety of high resolution images, vectors, and more. So just join Storyblocks. I have a link below where you can go directly and join it for a 7 free day trial. Once the gel and the image is thoroughly dried, and I did say that I waited 24 hours for this, you can remove the top layer of the paper. I did print it on a very thin copy paper because the thinner the paper is, the easier it is to remove the top layer and just have the image stuck on the background. If the paper is really thick, it's really hard to remove. For this technique, you need some water, either a glass of water or a spray bottle, which is what I have here. And you start spraying the background where the trees are, a little piece at a time. And then you spray water, and then using your fingers, you start removing the excess paper. You just rub it and it easily comes off. It really is quite easy. Then I took a wipe and started doing that because my fingers started to hurt just because of the same repetitive movement. And it's just good because the wipes kind of cleans everything as well. So this is just a baby wipe, and I'm just going and removing that paper as I'm using water, and the baby wipe is also wet. It helps to remove that extra piece of paper that I'm trying to remove from the background. That way the tree reveals itself and it looks really, really nice on the canvas. It's important to work in small sections so you don't wet the background too much. And this is what I meant about how if you had put any gel on the back of the image, it will not allow you to be removed because the gel will have a seal on top of the image and it will prevent it from removing that extra layer of paper. So it's really important to make sure that no gel gets onto the back of the image behind the tree or behind any image that you're doing. So I am removing here all the excess paper that is coming off because the only part that actually glued itself to the canvas was the part that I added gel on, where the trees were. I always find this technique so fascinating. It's almost like a magic trick that suddenly it reveals this image that wasn't there before. And I really, really love this. I love doing gel transfer, and I haven't been doing this for a long time, but I just really love the technique and I can't get enough of it. I just really think that it's really cool to do this. And the reason why I called my video today a faux painting is because when you do gel transfer, you can really make something look as if you've painted it or drawn it. And that's really amazing. You could basically take any picture, download it from the internet, and then gel transfer it to any surface that is flat and create it and make it look like it's a painting or a drawing. And that's the beauty of this technique. I knew I wanted to add some color bloom sprays from Prima Marketing, and to do that I wanted to make sure I protected my images. So I took some clear gesso from Prima Finnabair and just added a light coat on top of the background to make sure that it protects the images and lets me put the spray and remove it if I need to. Then I wanted to add some texture to the background, but I wanted the sky texture to be different than the ground texture. So for the sky part, which is the top of the canvas, I used some Prima Finnabair texture Crackle paste. And this is the platinum color because it's the only one that was handy right where I wanted it. And it has a little bit of a shimmer, which is really nice, but it still gives the same texture and the same crackle as the other ones. So I just added it to the top and then added it on top of the trees. However, I did decide to actually remove it after because I was worried that it will not be transparent enough and I wanted that image to show through. So I did remove it later with a wipe and I kept it onto the sky. For the bottom, I used just regular modeling paste and added it to the bottom of the underneath the trees. I really wanted to make it look as if there's leaves on the ground. So what I did is I took a palette knife and after adding the modeling paste, which is also from Prima Finnabair, I just patted it with my palette knife to create this really cool texture at the bottom. This is the point when I realized that I wasn't sure how transparent the texture paste was going to be. So I started removing it with my palette knife and saved some of it into the pot. And then I ended up taking just my baby wipe and just cleaning up the area on the trees, leaving everything else intact. I really wanted to make sure that the trees were the focus of this painting. I let both textures dry overnight as well because when you have crackle paste, you really need to let it dry for a long time so the crackles come out really nicely. Once the paste was really dried, I went ahead with my color boom sprays. Now I knew I wanted to use color boom sprays, but I really didn't know in which direction they were going to take me. I took a few of my favorite colors for this fall season, which are Spring Dandelion, Pot of Marigold, and Poppy Fields. Believe it or not, many times when I create projects, I'm actually experimenting as I go. And usually with sprays, I don't really know in which direction they're going to take me because sprays have kind of a mind of their own. And I love that about them because they're a little bit unpredictable, but they create the most amazing textures, and it's one of my favorite mediums to work with. I love using water with the sprays and letting them drip down the page. That's one of my favorite techniques, and I love you having a wipe handy so I can always wipe off the excess that I don't like. I took some Prima Marketing Finnabair Metallique paints. This is the blackberry color because I love the combination of the dark purple with the orange and bright red colors from fall. And I wanted to dilute this paint as well so it would drip down the canvas with the rest of my colors because I really love this combination. It's one of my favorite combinations this year and I'm just loving it and I'm creating so many projects with this combination. So I just added it to the bottom of my canvas and then I started adding more spray and playing around with the colors. So I would add some yellow and orange and red and then let it drip down, wipe off the area that I didn't want, and then do it again. What I really wanted is for the sprays to cover the whole canvas, but somehow they were dripping only in lines. So I was trying to figure out how to make it look as if it's a whole canvas and not just these lines running down the canvas. This is what I say when I mean that I am experimenting as I go, because I have an idea in my head, but sometimes it doesn't come out the way I want it, and I just have to try again and figure out how I want it to look. So water is a really good thing to help ink and sprays move around in a project. And so I kept on adding a little bit of water, a little bit of ink, and then a little bit of paint and mixing them all together to create this really nice motion onto my background. I kept on playing and wiping off the excess that I didn't want to be in the sky area because I wanted the bottom to be way darker. And then I thought to myself, how could I make the ink drip all at the same time down the canvas? And I went ahead and sprayed the same amount of sprays all over and put the same amount of water and then slowly let it drip down. And this time it actually did what I wanted, which is to cover the whole canvas at once. And I did have to help it a little bit by adding a little bit more ink, but I just let it run down and it really covered everything and mixed really nicely together, which is what I had wanted to do. Once the whole canvas was covered, and this is a really important part of the technique where it makes it look like a faux painting. You have to heat set this really well so the edges start drying. And as soon as the edges start drying, you take a baby wipe and you just dab out the excess in the center. That way you created this pooled-like water stain in the background. You need to heat set this just enough that it dries the edges, but the center is still a little bit wet. If you dry it too much, then the center will dry as well, and you won't get those really nice stains that you see in my background. So you really need to dry it just the right amount, and you test it by dabbing it. And if you see that it's too wet, then it will remove everything. But if it's just dry, what it will do, it will just remove the center and create these beautiful watermarks all around. To create a border around the canvas, I just painted the edges with the same paint I had used at the bottom of the canvas. Once the sky was dry, I was able to just add a little bit of this paint to just frame everything, because I really love when paintings are framed. Finally, I wanted to add some glimmer to the background. So I took some Nuvo Glimmer paste, this is the gold color, and using a paintbrush, I just brushed it on top of some of the textured areas and also on top of the trees. And it gave the most beautiful glimmer, and I really love this technique. It was just fun to add it on top, and it was just so easy because the paste is gel-like and is really, really great. I also went around the edges of the canvas and added some glimmer paste as well. So this is it, the end of my video. I had so much fun creating this canvas, and I really like the idea of creating a faux painting using gel transfer and color bloom sprays. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And also remember that all the products are listed in the description area below, as well as the link to get your 7 days free trial for Storyblocks. Thank you so much for watching. For more inspiration, subscribe to my channel and visit me on my website to subscribe to my newsletter. Bye!